Good evening and thank you for joining us for KREM 2 News at 5. I'm Mark Hanrahan.
And I'm Whitney Ward. A judge has dismissed a recall effort against Spokane County Commissioner Al French. That petition was filed in late August by a new group called the Clean Water Accountability Coalition.
KREM 2 Shannon Mowdy spoke with attorneys for both sides and explains why Thursday's decision may not mean the end of the fight to get French out of office. Shannon?
Al French and now his attorney have both dismissed this effort as a political ploy, especially with how close it comes to the November election where French is seeking his final term. And timing may have played a large role in the judge's dismissal.
Absolutely not.
A push to recall Commissioner Al French was tossed out in court Thursday, a month after it was filed by the Clean Water Accountability Coalition. French's attorney, Mark Lamb, says it was always doomed to fail.
It's clear law in Washington state. You can't do a recall within 6 months of an election.
Whitman County Judge Gary Leiby, acting for Spokane County Superior Court, also found every allegation against French legally insufficient to move forward.
But not because the facts were not true, but because he said, for example, that it was appropriate for Al French to be on multiple boards at the same time. And we don't contest that. So the judge didn't really get it.
Attorney Noel Lowney, who represented the coalition, called the dismissal legal technicalities, though Thursday's hearing also raised questions about the group behind the recall.
We made an issue of the fact in this campaign that the person who is paying the salary or the fees rather of the attorney who filed the recall petition, they haven't disclosed that.
It is hard to see, but Lamb says Judge Leiby added a handwritten order for Lowney to publicly disclose who paid him by October 31st. Lamb says progressive group Fuse Washington, listed on the coalition's website as a contributor, paid around $600.
I can tell you as an attorney, like, you don't prepare a 114-page document for $646. So clearly there is information that they're not disclosing.
I'm not sure why the judge put that in his ruling, but we didn't object to that because that's the law anyways.
Lowney says the recall was funded by volunteer donations, and this doesn't mark the end of the coalition's fight against French.
Well, the residents of West Plains are going to continue to pursue this because Al French's misconduct really harmed them.
Lowney says an appeal to the state's Supreme Court will be filed very soon. Legally, that appeal has to be filed within 15 days. The Supreme Court then has 30 days to issue a ruling, Lowney told me. He says the goal is to have the higher court's decision before the election, which as of now is 38 days away. Shannon Mowdy, KREM 2 News.
All right, Shannon, thank you very much. And 2 weeks from today is Idaho State's official voter registration deadline.
If you have recently moved into the state or are wondering how to prepare for this election cycle,
KREM 2's Rican Gallo visited Kootenai County Elections Office to get all the details that you need.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, so on October 11th, that is going to be Idaho residents' deadline to get your voter registration postmarked and in the mail. So both for residents as well as those new residents that have moved in from out of state, that's going to be important for you to get that in. Again, October 11th. If you are planning to do your voter registration online, you will need to have it completed by midnight on October 11th. You can do this on the voteidaho.gov website. To register, you need to provide acceptable picture ID. This can be an Idaho driver's license, passport, federal ID, travel card, or Idaho concealed weapons permit. You may email it, mail it, or bring it into the elections office. If you're using a driver's license and it is from out of state, you need to do a few extra steps.
And if you're doing it online or using your driver's license to register to vote, but you've moved since you currently got your driver's license, then you need to make sure you bring proof of residency if that's not updated with the driver's license.
Another thing to prepare for, on November 5th, local schools will be closed as many of the public schools serve as polling locations.
But with the Coeur d'Alene School District in Lakeland, they are closing on Election Day. Post Falls is still going to be open, but they provide the same amount of parking typically, and the location size is big enough for voters to come in and out. And typically they separate the in and out location of where voters come in from students.
With the big crowds of people expected on campus, administrators decided to keep students at home for the day for safety reasons. Now, if you're planning to register for an absentee ballot, those are going to be due on October 25th, the registration for those. So you got to have it in at the elections office by 5 p.m. You're going to mail it in. You got to mail it in a few days earlier, or walk it in before 5 p.m. or do it online before that cutoff date. We're right here in Kootenai County. I'm Rican Gallo with KREM 2 News.
And as we get closer to Election Day, voters will get to see where the vice presidential candidates stand on key issues. This Tuesday, Ohio Senator J.D. Vance and Minnesota Governor Tim Walz will face off in their first and only vice presidential debate. CBS is hosting the debate that is set for 6 p.m. You'll be able to watch it right here on KREM 2, and be sure to join us for a special edition of KREM 2 News. And we will also be hosting a 5th Congressional District debate on Wednesday, October 30th, with the two candidates who are hoping to replace Cathy McMorris Rodgers. Carmela Conroy and Michael Baumgartner will be here in the KREM 2 studio, and we'll be asking the questions important to Eastern Washingtonians. The hour-long commercial-free debate starts at 7 o'clock that evening on KREM 2, KSKN 22, and KREM's digital streaming platforms. All right, time to talk weather now. After a cooler day yesterday, much warmer weather beginning to move into the inland northwest just in time for the weekend. And lots of sunshine. So let's get right to it once again with our chief meteorologist, Jeremy Legoo.
Well, today was downright gorgeous, and it's still quite lovely, especially if you make your way outside. 72 degrees feels quite warm, especially if you find a little bit of that sunshine. 72 here in Spokane, you cross the state line. Similar story in Coeur d'Alene and up near 80 in parts of central Washington and the Lewis and Clark Valley. Mid-70s for the Palouse. It's a gorgeous weather pattern, but there's a low sitting way up north. That's going to move its way into British Columbia this weekend, and the cold front associated with it is going to bring us another round of wind, not near as strong, and another drop in temperatures, not near as big, but a big shift nonetheless. Tomorrow winds up every bit as beautiful as today. Sunday, we will start the day with the cold front. It happens before the sun comes up. It's going to move through. A couple of stray showers in northeast Washington wind up the extent of it. But notice the little wind dots moving on your screen. Those are going to the wind is going to pick up and be more out of the west and northwest. That shift in wind direction, a subtle shift in wind direction, is enough to drop our temperatures significantly. Because of that, we go from the 80s on Saturday to the 60s on Sunday, about a 15-degree drop in temperatures. Takes us into next week. All right, sounds good, Jeremy. We'll check back in with you later in the show. Well, tonight we are getting new video from KREM 2 viewer Hayden of the moments that a wildfire in Whitman County exploded. The Long Hollow fire has grown to 4,000 acres. It is burning along the Snake River near Almota and Lower Granite Dam. Hayden says he was working on the Snake River when he noticed the blaze and called authorities. The Whitman County Sheriff's Office says right now there are no evacuations in place. Deputies say the fire was caused by lightning at the same time that those 50-mile-an-hour winds tore through the area. So far, no structures have been lost as the fire has only been burning in remote fields. A wildfire burning near Danville, not far from the Canadian border, is prompting level 2 and 3 evacuations. The Ferry County Sheriff's Office says level 3 go now evacuations are in effect for the 4th of July Creek Road area. The Sheriff's Office estimates that fire has burned at least 1,700 acres so far. It is 0% contained tonight.